It's time to present Scott DuPont to bring you another episode of Finance Your Movie with tips and strategies to help you get your money to tell your story. It's time!
Back here this week with Greg Sager. He's a writer, producer, director, and editor. And he's just releasing his brand new feature-length motion picture, Cheat. Welcome, Greg.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
A quick shout out and a thank you to Andrea at Vision Films who connected us. Congratulations, great distribution company.
Yeah, they were great. They've been great. They've been absolutely stellar.
So I saw the trailer for Cheat. It looks amazing. I can't wait to see it. But on this show, I want to just kind of discover a little bit about your past, how you got here, because it seems like in the past 10 years, you've been cranking out 5 or 6 feature films, like one after the other.
Yes.
Did you start out as an editor? Did you just say, hey, I want to produce my first film? How did you get into this crazy business?
I'm one of those Star Wars kids. So I was 7, Star Wars came, and it just kind of blew me away. And I knew from that moment on exactly what I wanted to do. So, and the journey from there was just insane because, I started in the hospitality industry, went through school, no schooling for this. I just basically, kind of
No film school.
No film school, 0. I did take photography courses in Windsor, Ontario, just kind of because I knew the principles were the same, couldn't afford film school. So I just basically volunteered on a bunch of corporate and commercial things, just getting in there. The next thing you know, they're paying me. So great. But I was just trying to learn everything I could, every department. And then then I got to basically I'm a corporate and commercial DOP. Like that's my bread and butter. And then I shot at the 2010 Olympics, had a kind of amount of liquidity from it because there was no play out there. It was just 45 days straight. So when I got back, I kind of got the gang together because we always talked about it, right?
So
And
you yourself financed your first feature?
I got the ball rolling. So like we shot Devils, that entire budget was $50,000. A lot of blood,
So
sweat, tears.
tell me how that played out. You put in a little bit of your own money, then connect the dots how the rest of the money came together.
That one was basically friends and families and acquaintances. That was just, we had and even today, the first one's always the hardest. So like if you go to investors and go, we're going to make a movie, we want to make a movie, will you help us? We have no money. Rather than saying, we want to make a movie, we have X. It's just nobody wants to be that
The first
on board.
one or the first couple in.
And it just once you start getting the first one, then the second, it just somehow just becomes easier and easier. So like we run differently than most. Like we're kind of like a co-op. Like we raise funds to shoot the movie. And being in London, we're lucky we get away with murder. Like we're the only game in town for the most part. And filmmaking is kind of still, even though there's a film office here now, they just started a couple years ago. Like we just had Arnold Schwarzenegger shoot some of the Bar here, right? And it's just like people think it's fun. Oh, you want to use my place for a movie? And you go to Toronto or Vancouver, Montreal, and it's like, oh, a movie? Yeah, show me the money. Cards. So that's kind of so the city has been phenomenal for just like everybody's been great. Like, some of the people, restaurants, whatever we shoot in, like, if there's extras needed, get on in here,
Yeah.
It's because it's fun. Like we try to make it fun. Like everybody's got their day jobs, corporate. I still go in DOP commercials and corporate stuff, but this is the sanity part. Like this feeds the soul. The corporate stuff, it's great and all, but it just these come along every couple of years or every, sometimes we're lucky. It's 2 years, sometimes it's 3, but it's just like this is what I live for. And so that's kind of my arc.
So I'm guessing you can with all the locations and the favors and the enthusiasm of the community, I'm guessing you can probably, let's just say, I'm going to throw out a number for 500,000 cash.
Sorry, you cut out there. How much?
I just want to clarify.
Yep.
just throwing a number, hypothetically, let's say your budget was 500,000 cash.
Mhm.
It sounds like what you're telling me is you can actually put maybe a million or 1.5 on the screen because you're not paying LA, New York, Toronto rates.
I would even go higher, say higher than that. Like just because we're outside of a major market here in Canada. Like it's just like, like I got the greatest crew in the world. Like it's kind of it grown since the first one to this one, and they're all still a part of it. Like it's just I write something, make the call, feel it out, and they all drop what they're doing and they're here. Like they're great. And, they put so much, blood, sweat, tears, equity into this. So, and all my crew and all the main cast, they participate, and if we do well, they do well. So that's how we kind of offset. So we figure out, okay, what's the minimum the crew needs, what's the minimum the cast needs, to pay the like, get them through the whatever, we're talking 60 days. That's our long 18 days is kind of our longest shoot with maybe a couple pickup days. So it's what do we need to put this on the screen without any compromises. That's our kind of our cash budget. And then we have what is the real budget. And that's kind of what it's kind of it's coming out of cast, crew, myself, everybody, like, so like I said, everybody's got some of the back end, and it's just like, it's a roll. This is like going to Vegas movie making. Like it's,
So I want to clarify a little bit.
yep,
What you're saying is that your co-op, your core crew, they're all getting some sort of back end points, and you're all getting
exactly,
roughly the same. Like one
exactly.
guy's not making 100,000
No,
and somebody's not
no,
making $50.
there is no ego anywhere on any of our sets in production. There's no hierarchy. Like anybody can come. We run such a small crew. Like our biggest crew on the busiest day is maybe 12.
Wow, that's
Like that's
tight for
it.
a
But
narrative.
that's for non-union that we can get away with that.
Yeah.
And we've been working together so long, we got a shorthand. Like we don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just because I feel if it slows the machine down, and when you slow the machine down, that costs you money, right? So like, having said that, our percentage overall budget to like food, catering, drinks, just the stuff that the crew and the cast have, those budgets and a percentage value, like percentage of a budget, it's probably much higher than most. Because the last thing, if people are coming in and, not on full rates and that. So I want to make sure the last thing they're doing is complaining about food, drink, and just, the atmosphere on the set. That's everything. Like to me, we will not tolerate like just any cancers growing. They're surgically removed fast because we keep it light, and because when it stops being fun, like then that's when I do it anymore.
Yeah. Um, that's awesome. So you're basically you're doing all these commercial gigs.
Hmm.
That's your bread and butter, and then you
Yeah.
just say, "Hey, we're going to carve out a month or two with prep,
Yep.
18 shooting days or whatever it is," and you just
Everybody's availability because they all got weird, everybody's got their own schedules, and
yeah.
I kind of give them a heads up when I'm starting to write, when I'm eyeballing, or when I'm dusting a script off and going, okay, what's your availability next June? And that's just kind of how we work, and everything just kind of falls into place. And like I said, they're great. They're like I couldn't do what I'm doing without a single one of them. So
So let's fast forward to Cheat a little bit because
yeah.
obviously it looks much higher budget than your first 50K micro budget. Um, how did that financing come together? Did you start with a few friends and family, or just reach out to people in the community?
Well, this is funny. So my dad was involved in this one after 4 movies. He was like, he became extra supportive. So
Good for him.
no, he's great. Like it's just like, but and again, like these are the people like I put a little bit in. Like it's kind of, and then we kind of go out. We keep it small. We don't want anybody holding the bag, right? Because you never know. You don't.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't. We've
There's
had some
always some
bad.
kind of risk.
Yeah, we've had some bad experiences. So it's just like mitigate the risk, diversify as far as investment amounts, as far bunch of small ones rather than a big chunk, you know. And so we're like, we talk to doctors, lawyers, accountants, developers, that people with just, that they like movies, they get invited to the cast and crew screenings and whatnot. They get their percentages, but it's on the budget. It depends on the budget, depends on the percentages. And then it's just, and then if something happens, you know, it's not leaving somebody, you know, selling a house or something like that. You know,
Yeah, yeah, you'd never
it's
want
all,
that.
it's a lot of little investments. You know, it's almost like Kickstarter or Indiegogo without using them,
Yeah.
you know, and then, you know, it's just, yeah, just people that are interested. So it's low risk, you know, with a potential high reward. So that's just how we roll. So
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I mean, it's always nice if you find one super, super rich guy that comes in as the executive producer of the whole thing.
yeah,
That's only happened to me, I think, twice in 30 years.
yeah,
I usually end up with 15 or 20 investors like yourself. They're
yeah,
smaller.
yeah,
And I actually, in a way, I kind of like it because everyone has a little bit of money. You got these 20 people who are really rooting, and you got this like fan club out there promoting the movie like crazy and helping with
exactly.
reviews and rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Like it's just like we just had our meeting like a couple days ago, you know, let's talk to our friends, family, you know, and you know, just get everything moving, you know, kind of building the buzz, put a press release out, you know, yesterday. So it's just like it's it's you know, that's what makes it fun. And, you know, I like you, I rather the small investors just because, you know, if it doesn't let somebody feel like they have too much of a say in the creative. That's what I do love, right? It's just, you know, if there's no big cheese, like the comes and dumps all the money and say, this is all my money, you know,
Yeah, you got
we're
to be
gonna
careful. You got
do
to be
this.
careful with that.
Yeah. And the creative is what like I bring my crew is just responsible for the final cut that I am because I get so close being the editor as well. I get so close to the trees. I got to step say, come on over, put it on the big screen, and you guys make notes, and I'll take them or leave them. But it's just like because I just you know by the time I've watched it 300 times by the time I'm done editing, you know, and it's just like my brain's even filling in things that I out, but it might be putting so I'm not seeing it with any perspective whatsoever. So I let my crew basically come in and kind of they're responsible basically for the final cuts, and then you know the distributor will have their you know input.
Sure. So a lot of audience members either watching or listening right
Mhm.
now, they're in alignment with you. They're trying to keep their budgets fairly low on their first or their second feature, um, but they've never actually raised the money. Any kind of tips or advice for them? Like, do you just pick up the phone? Do you email people? Do you just, hey, let's get together for a coffee and talk? Like, how
Yeah,
do you engage with potential investors?
that's kind of it. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, even cold emailing or cold calling, like, you know, like I said, developers, real estate. First of all, like the first thing, if you want to get out of a major film center, sorry, major film centers, like, when I,
I'm
I'm
I'm so
fortunate
glad you brought that up. Tell
because,
tell me why.
because there, and God bless them. I know some guys that you were, you know, non-union, they went union and they're in the big, and it changes their personality and their work rate. Right? It's just like because they're and they're taught not to move out of their lane. Like don't you touch that light, you know, get me, you know, just you plug in
Yeah,
those cords, those stingers, and that's it. We are all slashes. We can all I could drop dead on set and the movie would get done. Like that's the beauty of it. But in the major centers, you kind of get that mentality. Plus, you know, and the mentality goes kind of gets projected on, you know, the golf, like you said, like we were talking about earlier, you know, you going for a location and, you know, they heard Netflix was in town, you know, Netflix is always well, I heard they give $5,000 a day. Well, as a small filmmaker, I cannot give $5,000 a day for any set, any location, right? I've just, oh, so the beauty thing is me being the writer, I know what I can get and what I can't get. Like that, and I think every director
you're writing within
should
your
learn how
budget,
to
right?
write. Yeah, writing within my means. So one I wrote, I needed a bus halfway through the script, and I'm going, should I? I got on the phone, called my contact, a new contact at the transit company here, said, "What are the odds of us getting a bus?" And he goes, "I don't know. Give me percentage." She goes, "I don't know, 75, 80%." And I go, "Good enough." Click. That's it. You know, and that's how I handle every script. And, you know, You know, directors, just being a director is great, but I think, you know, as far as I'm concerned, directors need to know every department and at least know how to muddle through any job if they had to.
I want to
Like,
circle back real quick to
yep,
you said this big get out of the big markets, the big cities.
yes,
And this has been my experience. If I run around Hollywood, Los Angeles, looking for investors, what I've found, and I want to hear your take on this,
mhm,
either, hey, you can't possibly do a serious movie for $500,000. If it was
yeah,
a 5 million bucks, I might talk to you.
yeah,
Or everyone else and their grandmother is out either raising money or doing their own movie. So I go to smaller markets, people I've known in my past life, like, cool, you're going to do a movie here? Yeah, I'll put in a little bit of money.
yes, exactly. You know, and I don't like, I find the Indiegogos, the Kickstarters of the world, they're great and all, but it's like grant writing. You gotta know what, there's these triggers and these things you need to do. I've yet to figure it out. So it's just like, I do it our way, which is, you know, seems to work. You know, sure, I wish I had $2 million to do something. That'd be great. I don't. So we work within our means. We put by more than what the budget suggests on the screen, like insanely more.
Is
So,
that
and I
is
think
that
that's key.
part of your pitch when you're talking to potential investors?
Yeah, like the only thing we can't guarantee, because we don't jump into the union actor world either, right? Because that takes you from here, and I'm not saying clout wise either. I'm talking just financially to here.
Yeah.
Like it's just like we don't have the luxury, and that's why horror is great. You don't need necessarily any recognizable faces in it. You know, this is our biggest stretch from the horror genre with this thriller. You know, but
Yeah,
I
anywhere
thought,
between 100 and 500K, you can get some horror people that are not necessarily in the union, and you can make a movie.
exactly.
Well, not even the Blair
But
Witch
there's a
Project.
built-in base too. Like you don't even need that. Like horror fans are so great. It's a built-in audience. They will watch everything, good, bad, or indifferent, you know? And that's why I wish the other genres did that as well. But you know, they
Yeah.
just don't,
No, I
you
mean,
know.
you don't even have to go back to the most profitable of all time, the Blair Witch Project, but
Mhm.
every single year, I can rattle off at least a dozen indie films under 500K horror
Yep.
that have made tens of millions of dollars.
Yep. And
It
that's
it
the
it,
it,
it can happen.
yeah. Yeah. It's a great genre. Like I love a good old horror. Like if a guy like this, I think
And you got a
like
lot of woods up there.
oh, tons of well, Rye Barrett, who's in this one, he just kind of in a violent nature, right? He just took off with that thing. Like it just who knew? You know, unfortunately nobody sees his face in that, but you know, and he's been in three of my right. So he's in this one as well. So he's just one of my go-to. Like it's just the man is brilliant. So it's just like I find myself almost writing for him. I told him this is it though. Three strikes, you're out.
Yeah. We
So
we got to wrap up here in a minute,
yep.
and I really appreciate you being on the show and sharing.
From
But if there's like one thing that you could tell a first or second time, somebody right at the gate, they're just about to pick up the phone or set up meetings.
mhm.
What's the one bit of advice you would have to somebody who might be just a little bit scared, they're unsure, like, oh my God, this is going to be a bitch to raise X amount of money. What's your advice?
Build momentum. Like once you kind of can create an unstoppable boulder rolling down a hill by just starting, getting that first person on, or you know, or yourself, getting that ball rolling, and you just give the impression that you're going with or without them. Like that, I think that's what we've done from the beginning. Like it's get on or get out of our way, you know, because this is like we will book a date, and that's the date we like. It's just like I think we mentally psych ourselves out, and it's just like, yeah, we're doing this. No, we don't have all the money, but it'll happen, and that just it's kind of magical.
That is
So
so key. What you just said, to me, it's almost like you just have this confidence, like, hey, we're shooting December 1st.
scared crapless confidence, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's still
yeah, yeah.
confidence.
But yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think I think you nailed it. I think you
yeah.
have to have
Well,
that certainty.
we have a saying that it's just like, you know, let's will this into reality. And that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're doing. And
Love
every
it.
day is magical because you shoot something and it didn't exist 10 minutes before that, and it'll be around forever. So
Yeah. Very wise words from Greg Sager. Make sure you catch Cheat. Tell us in less than a minute a little bit about the film and where we can see it.
yeah, so it's going to be on all major streaming platforms in Canada and the US, and then your typical iTunes, Amazon Prime, as far as the digital stuff goes. But yeah, we got a list on if you want to check it out. But basically, Cheat, the way we looked at it is, I just thought it's about a woman who has an affair that her husband may or may not know about, with all kinds of twists tossed in. It's the way I like to describe it is kind of like those Hallmark, Lifetime movies, but just with a little bit of Brian De Palma thrown in. So that's that 80s kind of noir. So
You
that's,
captured that in the trailer.
yeah,
It's a very
that's
enticing trailer.
exactly what I was going for. Like, I body double. It was in my head the entire shooting. So
That old
yeah,
movie, Body Double?
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I don't
Classic.
know if I'd want to watch it today, but it lives fondly in my memories.
So make sure you check out Cheat. And then if anyone wants to follow you or learn more about you, what's the best place to contact you or reach out?
They can reach us through our website. All the information is up there. My email, everybody else's email. So any of the
And
casting
is that matchboxpictures.com?
.ca. Don't do .com.
Oh, sorry about that.
That will go to Australia.
Okay. So matchboxpictures.ca, and we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Greg, thank you so much for your time today. Best of
Great.
luck on the release of Cheat.
Thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate it.
It's time!
There's never been a better time to make your own film. And if you have a dream project you're excited about and 100% committed to getting it funded, go to financeyourmovie.com, click on the green telephone, you'll see our calendar and find an open spot. We'll do a one-on-one call, which will be the best hour you've ever spent getting clarity and strategy towards financing your movie.